stumble in front of the crowd. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad, thank you. I will.
You're holding up?
Yes, I am holding up. Thank you very much. I was luckily I had breakfast this morning because I was thinking of skipping it. I think you would have heard my stomach growl through the mic if that was the case. Um, I'm delighted to have Sia on stage with us on the virtual stage. I think I talked about her briefly in the stream early on, but I mean, without interrupting what will be her presentation. Um, Sia's done fantastic work in the performance community, and she used to work at Shopify, where they do a lot of significant work over there as well, a lot of heavy lifting for a massive organization and a lot of store owners or shop owners. Is that what you guys call it? Shop owners? But she's going to talk to us about a pretty important part of being a shop owner at Shopify, and I'm super excited about that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to let her introduce herself and go about her business. How about that, Sia? Does that sounds good?
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'll let you do your thing. Then I'll pull your little slide up because I see it. Or do you want me to pull it up right now?
Oh, yeah, you can pull it up.
And just like that, we are here.
Yeah, yeah. And you're welcome to chat during it too. That's fine with me.
Awesome. And folks, as usual, if you have questions during the chat, I'll try to get to it as much as possible. But here we go.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Sia Karamalegos, as Henri mentioned, and I'm excited to talk to you today about Shopify theme performance and how I built theme vitals and why, and the story behind it too, and kind of what it can do to help both theme developers and merchants. So, like if you had to pick the fastest Shopify theme today, could you really do it? So, so like in the back of your head, and if you're not, this is more for the Shopify crowd, but themes are basically, I mean, like a theme on most platforms. It's your chunk of all your front end code and templates and things like that that you can use for your store. And this was a question that even we couldn't really answer before. Uh, Again, I'm Sia. I am a web performance engineer and a web developer. My dogs are really excited right now, so they feel like coming to say hi under the desk. But yeah, I design, build, and optimize websites, tools, and communities. I also like doing a lot of community organization and stuff like that. I am co-organized Performance Observer, our web performance meetup. But I also used to work at Shopify for 2 years, like Henri mentioned. So I was on a web performance team that was under professional services, and which I'm pretty sure it's still under that area. And we helped merchants with bad web performance. So where does perf usually go wrong? So we would see a lot. We would see like they would start with a theme that had bad performance. They would add too many like third-party apps and like Google Tag Manager tags, too much poorly optimized customization, and then also they would try to band-aid over all of that with performance hacks. And yeah, I had one client recently that some old performance hacks actually it made their burger menu stop working. So like once I started like pulling all of this stuff out, things started working again. So it just becomes like this giant mess. And one thing that would overlap on a lot of the projects was starting with a theme with bad performance, where like all of these things can contribute, but if you start with a thing with bad performance, it's very hard to get back to good performance. Whereas if you start with a thing with good performance, then like you might be able to go back and fix your apps and tags and other things and get back to good performance again. Otherwise, you're starting to pay for some expensive customization, right? So you start with a bad theme, you pay a lot of money for customization. You also lose these auto updates. So once you start customizing things, it's harder to get the updates from that theme developer in the future. You'd have to manually do it, and it's especially hard if you edit the same file. So it becomes this like big mess. So if you weren't aware, with the Shopify theme, as long as you don't customize the theme files, then yeah, you can get automatic updates. So like any improvements they make in the future, you'll just get for free because you only pay once. Um, So yeah, so performance keeps drifting. It becomes this, cycle of bad performance. And so what was missing from all this was we need a solution for smaller merchants who can't afford customization or web performance engineers to come fix it all. But we also need data to help guide them, right? Like they don't know what's a good theme. Also, we didn't know which ones were the best themes, right? Um, and then data to help guide those theme developers as well, right? So that they can improve their themes. Because like if they don't have the data, the real user data, then it's really hard to know where to start. So I think it was actually Michael who had the idea. He was I say he was our boss. He's still their boss. It's just I'm not on that team anymore. But let's measure theme performance across the ecosystem. And thus, we built this Shopify theme performance data table. Mateusz did the queries for it. It still is based off internal data about Core Web Vitals by theme. And you can find it there. I have the link there. You can also just go to the performance.shopify.com site and like in the search bar, search for theme table or something and you'll find it. But it's great. But I had big dreams of like making this even better, right? To help out both theme developers and merchants and us. And then I left Shopify, right? So I'm back to freelancing, which I do love freelancing, but I lost the internal data access, which was sad. But luckily, the Chrome user experience report came to the rescue. If you're not aware, HTTP Archive and the Chrome user experience report are two public data sets. HTTP Archive crawls the web every month and reports out metrics, but it's like a one-run thing. The Chrome user experience report is actually real user data from sessions in Chrome, and they report out for like the top, I don't even know how many millions of URLs right now, or millions of origins, but a lot. So basically, it's publicly available data. The data itself is free. You have to pay to query it through BigQuery, but there is a free tier. So if you're careful with your queries, you won't bust the bank. But yeah. So from that came the birth of Theme Vitals. So I have a new solution that people can use. I say new, but it's actually, I think we passed our 1-year anniversary, which was really exciting. So yeah. So what are some like new or different features in here compared to like, what we had just on that theme data table? Well, number one is being independent from Shopify. So I was actually initially against us. This is interesting. I was initially against us publishing that, not because like I wanted people to have the data, but I was worried about like theme developers or agencies getting angry at us because Shopify also takes their partner ecosystem seriously, right? And I was worried that we would either make the partners mad or make the people on the partner team mad. That didn't happen. So like kudos to Michael for going ahead anyways. And but now that I am independent, I can report this and it doesn't necessarily negatively impact the Shopify team because relationships are really important. It's also publicly verifiable, so anyone can go into those databases and query the data and find the same exact data that I'm reporting. Like, yeah. It's also updated monthly. So every month on second Tuesday, the Chrome user experience report data drops. And that's actually when I go in and I query the data, do all the reporting and stuff, send out the newsletter and update the site. So like everything happens on second Tuesdays. It's also when I have this local meetup, which is funny. So it's like second Tuesdays, I'm booked. Like, I don't have to worry about what I'm doing on second Tuesday of the month. And then comes like the exciting stuff. So I added all of so not just the core web vitals, which are LCP, CLS, IMP, and of course an overarching number, but I added time to first byte and first contentful paint so that you can see like the full loading profile that you can get from Chrome user experience report at least. It's a little asterisk on time to first byte, which we'll talk about later. And so this is exciting. You can see a bit more. I also have a 6-month history. So instead of just one number, which was whenever Mateusz had time to rerun the queries and post in the data table, we have a 6-month history. And it's not knocking them. They have a lot of things they're trying to get done, right? And then I have theme version distribution. So right now I'm pulling in all theme versions into my data because I would have significantly less data if I try to limit this. So a lot of themes, like the top themes, have a ton. Like Dawn, which was the older flagship theme, it has it's like the #1 market rank. It has tons of sites. We might see the data later. I can pull it up. But when you come to the smaller themes, like I only show a theme if it has at least 50 websites, as in 50 data points, because I'm like, I worry about people or like the data not being as valid, and I don't want people to necessarily judge it unless they have at least 50 data points. So yeah, so I show this distribution so at least you have context for the data. I think Mateusz does like maybe the last 3 version numbers or something. And I do have an idea for a feature later on, which I'll talk about. I also have the ability to split between mobile and desktop data. So on the site, you'll be able to click these buttons to flip between mobile and desktop. Because like, as you can see here, this particular theme is like, they're doing pretty good on desktop. When you come to mobile, they're doing kind of terrible. So if you just merged all that data together, it wouldn't look necessarily right. And then actually for a lot of themes, it's not necessarily the reverse, but desktop will be worse than mobile because of CLS. It's really funny. You'll be like, why is desktop worse? And it's because CLS, because there's just like a larger region for you to go wrong on layout shift. Whereas like on mobile, it won't. So if they're like good overall, a lot of times desktop will be worse. It's weird. But yeah.
That's interesting.
Right? Yeah. It happens a lot. And then recently, because I'm a developer, I'm an engineer at heart, and I'm like, I'm just, I think about what I might need or want, and I'm like, oh, I already know what these terms mean. But for someone coming in who's less technical or is like, even a developer who's like less familiar with web performance, might get overwhelmed with some of this data. So I'm like trying to add more kind of user-friendly features. So I added letter grades to help give like context. Like, oh, does this number mean that it's good or bad? So I have letter grades now for the passing all core web vitals scores. Similar to that, I have a page that's updated every month, like automatically just based on the data, that reports out the fastest themes list. So instead of you going in manually sorting by passing core web vitals and then trying to flip between mobile and desktop, I just have a list I report out now. So you can go in and see who's the fastest. Yeah, and you can see an excerpt from this, but there's a link on the homepage you can find. And it's nice because, slight aside, I do love Alemany, which is a static site builder. So I made it so that these are all templates that can be automatically updated. And there's just a few things I might manually change each month. So you see actually, I'll go to it. You can also see like immediately the date that was last updated. And this is just automatically populated by the metadata. Oops. You can see like all my VS Code screens in that little like so many different projects open right now. But yeah, you can link to the fastest themes and go to the themes table, look at a particular theme, flip between different things. Oh yeah, they didn't have enough data in those months. This happens a lot in e-commerce. There's more data on mobile than desktop because people do more shopping on mobile now than desktop. It's kind of wild. I also added, because this is like in the Chrome User Experience Report and HTTP Archive, I basically get to see how many websites are using each of these themes. So I was like, this might be interesting for people who are, in this space, either at Shopify or just in the broader like Shopify community, to see like what are the top market ranking themes. It's not 100% accurate because Chrome User Experience Report only reports out, websites with higher traffic. And, but it is like, or you would say like the stores that get like, a decent amount of traffic, this is kind of their market rate. So you can see it's like hugely skewed. Dawn has 17.6% of the market, and then it like drops down to 3.6, which actually is like the really old like the flagship theme before dawn. But because like people don't change that often, there's not a lot of churn in theme. It's a lot of work. And then we get to some actually like paid themes and stuff like that. But and then so it's like the rest of them will be like 0 point whatever percent. But it is interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how Horizon, which is the new flagship theme, starts taking over traffic. Which I am a little bit disappointed because their performance isn't so good. But yeah, we can take a look at that too. So, well, why might different people want to use theme vitals? For developer, you can validate your theme changes. And this is assuming you're a developer for a theme store theme. If it's just your own random thing, actually, you can still validate. Like if you're customizing, but it's based on Dawn, you can kind of like validate, like, am I getting worse than Dawn or something like that. You can catch your regressions, because like you don't necessarily have web performance data for all the people using your theme. This is like that missing data piece. You might be able to convince like a few shops to share their data, but it's hard. You can also compare yourself against other competitors, like other themes, and perhaps justify rebuilds. For merchants, the big thing here is like choose a better theme. I'm not going to say like choose the number one theme, but like choose a theme that's like at least a letter grade of A on both mobile and desktop, because as a merchant, you're also balancing like what features do I need, and does this theme have those features? Because you're gonna have to pay for like missing features, and web performance isn't the only thing that contributes to better conversion and lower bounce rates, right? Like there's a lot of things in e-commerce, and performance is just one part of it. So you're doing a balancing act, and I'd say like, find your list of themes that you like and go see like which ones have better performance and help it inform your decisions. Can also help reduce pricey custom theme development, right? Like, why are you paying to fix some theme's problem when like that theme store should really fix that theme store theme should really fix that problem? And you can maintain automatic updates if you can get away with not customizing your theme. For agencies, like better scoping, if you're, providing like a full service solution to a shop, so you'll kind of have better, basically data-backed recommendations, and makes those conversations about performance easier. So what's next? I have a lot of things on my list I'd like to do. So more metrics. There's a few more available in the Chrome User Experience Report. One of my dreams is to add that Shopify internal data for comparison, because it's really cool to look at both, because you get like slightly different data in both. And it'd be nice if people could see it in one place. That would be really nice. Dream two, Barry and I were talking about this the other day, but I think it was one of his dreams. I didn't even know this was like something they were considering. I don't think it's anytime soon though, but it'd be super cool if we get like time to first byte subparts. Because right now in Chrome User Experience Report, TTFB looks faster than I don't want to say it really is, but like it's because we're getting early hints back from like Cloudflare. So it's not necessarily the first byte back from the Shopify servers. It's the first early hint, which is not actually like HTML content. And so it's making time to first byte look better than it really is in Crux. And it'd be nice to suss that out. And actually, dream number one would help show that, like if we add the internal Shopify data. Also, P75 bins, so like distribution. So right now, I just show like a single number by month. Oh, like, 75% of the websites using this theme are passing LCP. It's like some weird gymnastics for doing this, because I'm not reporting sessions. I'm reporting websites that pass each of these metrics, but I could at least show you bins and stuff like that. Because we do have bins, and it would just be like a intense query. I might start going over I might start having like
Quota.
queries.
Yeah.
I think it was an agency guy brought this up idea. He was like, I want to compare my site. So like, can you show me how I'm doing versus my theme? Like, can I get better? Or they were thinking of it as like, I can't get better than my theme. You can with customization, but like, it would be nice, right? Like you just drop in your URL, I go detect what theme you're using, pull your last 28 days in Crux and compare it to your theme. And also like the wider Shopify performance. So you can kind of get like oh, this is how I'm doing. How bad am I? Or am I kind of on par with where I thought I was? And of course, like individual shops have their internal data that they have access to in the Shopify admin, but you might not know, especially if you're failing and you record Web Vitals, you might not know if it's because of you or because of your theme, right? So also similar to what the data table does from Shopify is maybe split out performance from like the last 3 versions versus the rest to better show fresh theme install performance. This is harder for me because there would be fewer themes that would have enough data to compare. So like it might be something that would only show up for like half of the themes or something like that. And also like I have aggregated performance data so you can see like how the themes are doing. Oops, I'm doing that again overall. And but it'd be kind of cool if I had a page similar to like a theme page where you could see this for all of the Shopify themes. So then you can, and then also like have the ability to compare themes side by side and themes versus like wider Shopify. So like, just some like basically some more benchmarks. But to do all this, because I don't get paid for this except for through sponsorships, like I would need a few more sponsors and then I could start building more of these seizures. It'd be really fun to do all that. That's all I have. Again, my name is Sia Karamalegos, and you can find all of my socials on sia.codes. I'm most active on Blue Sky, and then after that, it's probably like Mastodon and LinkedIn. But I am on all of those platforms, and yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. First of all, I don't know how many people in the chat are working with themes for whichever platform it may be. Whenever I thought of themes, I thought of WordPress, of course. But yes, Shopify has them. Now, in your experience being at Shopify, I think it was like 2 years, you said, or it's 2 years since. I'm not sure, but in dealing with merchants, what was it like, having that conversation, asking them about their theme and maybe indicating to them that their theme is probably contributing to some of their challenges with regards to the vitals?
Yeah. So this still happens to me, like when I get potential clients from Shopify, and I would say it's the case for most of the people that come to me. Like I'm not going to try to take money from these people when really all they like, if they just change their theme, like they would get better performance. So I will ask, like, do you like your theme? Are you considering new themes? Because sometimes you'll also get like a site that's like, it looks really dated. So I'm like, they should really change theme anyway, because like the whole website is dated. They're not necessarily using like it looks bad from a like just a graphic or design standpoint because it's an older design, and like users are less likely to trust a website that looks like it's from the 90s when they're buying things. But yeah, so like in those cases I kind of push harder. And the others I'm like, well, you have options, right? Like one of your options is it looks like, your current theme has bad performance out of the box. So you could change to a theme, and like here's some resource. Like that's what I want this to be, like a resource. Like, here's some of the fastest themes. You don't have to pick the fastest one, but like look at the themes you're considering, and like, are there ones that are better at passing all the core web vitals? And your other option is we can customize it and like make it fast. And it's kind of up to you based on your budget, because Shopify does kind of have some really big e-commerce companies on there, but it mostly has a lot of smaller ones. Like maybe they have 5 employees total. So they don't necessarily have a lot of budget for doing custom work. And so what you'll find in there, like I said, is like, someone has paid like, 3 previous developers, and all they did was like drop in terrible scripts that are like manipulating things. And you're like, and then they start like breaking other things in JavaScript. But it happens actually a lot. I would say at least 50% of the time, because you get a lot of merchants. They know that, or they at least think they need to improve their performance, which they do. It's not just for SEO, but it's for better conversions and lower bounce rates. But they don't really have the budget for that. And so I'm like, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to trick people. I'm like, you do have another option. It's just to go to a better theme. It's kind of sad though, because then I'll get fewer clients. But
I mean, so what? So when did you first join Shopify? If you don't mind me asking, if you remember.
yeah, if I remember. I know I'm so old. I don't remember these things.
I'm not just.
I well, it's been about a year and a half since I left, so it was 3.5 years ago.
Okay, so
Yeah.
about 2022, late 21, potentially.
Yeah, something like that.
Were people mostly concerned at that time with like SEO first, because they wanted to be found, and then did it gradually progress towards maybe SEO and performance split, or are they really keen on getting their performance at a theme level done right?
Mm. So at the time that I joined, there was I guess I can pull this up. I have a tiny Shopify store. So I'm also an artist on the side, which is part of why I wanted to go freelance again, so I could kind of build that up. So if I go here, this is the back end. I don't have a lot of sales. I literally just launched. So I'm like, we're not seeing anything super
No one's judging
big
you,
here.
don't worry.
But this is the online store area where you see your theme. You can edit your theme, which is basically like a CMS sort of interface opens up. You can also edit code and stuff. And what used to be up here was this speed score, and the speed score was based on Lighthouse showing up, and it would yell at people, right? And so people would contact us because their score looked bad. And then we'd have to train them about what Lighthouse scores are versus real user data stuff, which was interesting. I mean, it was a lot of work. We wrote a lot of blog posts, stuff like that. And we eventually convinced them internally to switch just to look at real user data. So you would get people coming to us because they saw, it would yell when they would come here, they would see that, right? And then some of them would hear from SEO stuff, right? Because when Google started taking into account, especially for mobile experiences, web performance, people started worrying a lot. And I actually think that helped the overall performance community in general, right? Not just in e-commerce. We finally got people caring about performance. And yes, it is a reason why you should care about performance, but you should care about it even more because it impacts your conversion rates and your bounce rates, right? If it's too slow, people are gonna bounce. But so a few of them would understand that, but I would say people were most interested in improving their conversion rates, and then some of them would realize they wouldn't necessarily realize that performance was one reason, because we were on the same team. We had a guy doing CRO, conversion rate optimization, and then people. I think it was probably mostly for SEO reasons, or because they saw this thing shouting at them and they wanted to know how to fix it.
Mm. So you've obviously removed that for obvious reasons while you guys were there, or while you were there working with that team. But here's a quick question, and potentially my last one before we move to our next speaker. But with respect to the themes and your experience having seen, so many themes so far, being at Shopify, being a freelancer after Shopify, working with merchants, what are some of the theme challenges? Is there a metric in particular that you feel themes are not able to sort of handle properly?
Um, it's an interesting question. So it has changed, or I do see some common themes. Before I also it- so I pushed for this. I actually did an internal hackathon showing a thing to switch to real user data. But I also we discovered at one point that Shopify sites, 80% of Shopify sites were lazy loading their largest contentful paint image. And this wasn't necessarily that theme developers were doing something wrong, but in the API, let me go into edit themes so you can see what I'm talking about. like you see, like this is a section. So this is a section image with text. This is a section. Each of these sections, you as a developer, when you're coding, you don't know where on the page this section is going to be. There was no API for that. So I pushed and added an API to add section index. So now you know where it is. So you can say, okay, if the index of this section is like less than 2, so like, it's near the top of the page, then I want you to not lazy load this image. And then also you could add fetch priority or something. And then we also at the same time added default lazy loading. So internally we looked at that metric. And if they didn't set a loading, like a loading equals lazy or loading equals eager, then we would default it, but you could always set it yourself and override that. So we added that. So what you saw with a lot of themes was that they're lazy loading their largest contentful paint images, but it wasn't necessarily their fault, right? They just didn't have the tool. Now they have the tool, so they can fix that. And I see fewer sites with that problem now. The other thing I see a lot, I don't know if I'm going to find this just by looking, but it's actually, I had mentioned it before. Let me switch to desktop. And maybe this one is. You remember see like mobile's A and desktop is D? It's wild, right? Like usually we think of it the opposite. And then if I switch, watch it not be the case. Look at that layout shift.
Yeah.
This happens. This isn't always the theme's fault though. So like if I go to, oh God, it's not, I don't have these things, but I'll show you in my shop. Just so I'm not shaming any particular website. So like you'll say, and I'm gonna go in to this lino cut print, you'll have a lot of things here that are like Afterpay, all this like, all that stuff. And then they'll like inject their little widgets and then push everything down. So that's one thing. Whereas like on mobile, this wouldn't show up, right? Because only like the image or the title is showing up, but you wouldn't see all that stuff. So it's like, because we have that larger surface area. And the other thing is, like those, like the announcement bars that aren't hard coded, they come in late and then they push everything down too. So those are two things that like it still happens. Sometimes it's the developer's fault, but other times it's not. It actually would be like at developer fault. So I did do this internally. I haven't checked lately, but like, like reviews, so like star ratings and stuff like that. So is it Trustpilot? Is that the more popular one? That one, I think, injects it the old-fashioned way, which causes a layout shift, whereas like Judge.me doesn't. They actually like save space. So, you can also manually kind of override that, but then of course you need a developer that understands what's going on. So.
So it sounds like a lot of the themes were having LCP problems, but although it wasn't necessarily their fault, and then you're also like,
or they didn't care and just never upgraded, because that happens too, right? Like, So like some of the, I don't know, it's been a while. I'd have to like, I haven't actually gone across here and like looked at each of like websites with these themes, but yeah.
And this is more like throughout your experience working in that space with the teams specifically and the actual merchants, because I'm sure.
Well, the people that we would end up working with more often would have either a custom theme or a theme that's like so customized at this point that it's not as comparable to its original theme, because they're the ones that had the budget to pay for developers. Whereas, probably at least 80% of Shopify, I don't know if this is true, don't quote me, but like I would say like 80% of merchants on Shopify are very small teams, right?
Yeah, no, they've been given the tools to be like big powerhouses, so I totally get it.
Yeah, they have a lot. Like it's like well over 200,000 websites or something like that, and in the Chrome User Experience Report. Actually, I think I have that as a there's like half a million websites, and so. And these are only the ones that actually make it into HTTP archive and CRUD. So,
which means there's a ton more, Amazing. And again, I always thought this was like a very important conversation, because themes are a bit of a lifeblood for certain platforms. And like, as you said in the beginning, if your theme isn't, performant from the get-go, you're basically trailing, so making your way back to a performant theme is going to be It's going to take that much more work. I know you mentioned where to find you off these streams. If you want to sort of mention that again, or maybe drop it in the chat so people know if they can
Yeah,
find you.
I'll put that. Well, I only know how to put it in the YouTube chat, but yeah. If you go to sia.codes, you'll see all the socials in the footer. Oops, I did back instead. I can't even navigate my website
Oh,
right
good.
now.
I'll put it back. I'll put it in myself. I
Yeah,
can,
yeah, yeah. Like all the things you can do.
awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time, Sia. Again, well appreciated. Folks, if you want to get in touch with Sia, we'll drop the information in the chat as well. You'll be able to read some of her work because I know she's blogged a lot about performance, and then you'll be able to, and I think I dropped that in the chat already. I think I dropped the Themes Vital URL, as well as the some of the old performance Shopify blog posts that she's also been responsible for. Any parting words, Sia?
I'm good. Yeah. Happy
Awesome.
holidays for those that celebrate.
All right. All right. Well, again, thank you very much for your time. And if you're sticking around, awesome. If not, we'll definitely find you on all those platforms you mentioned.